The sports page with the Orlando Sentinel and FM 96.9 The Game's Mike the Bulldog Bianchi.
On JRR.
Good morning, Mike Bianchi. How are we doing this morning?
We're doing good. They're doing good up in Gainesville, too. The Gator basketball team, ranked number 8 in the country. Number 1 Tennessee came to town last night and left with a lump on their head. 30 points the Gators beat the number 1 team in the country by last night, 73-43.
Wow.
Gators now 16-game winning streak at home. The 30-point win is the most lopsided win against the number 1 ranked team since the great John Wooden's UCLA squad beat UCLA 101-69 in the 1968 Final Four behind a guy named Lou Alcindor, who would go on to become Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
I don't know about you, Taco Bob, but I'm waiting on. I would think this would be a perfect opportunity for the dog to go, how'd that taste?
How'd that taste, Tennessee? May have beaten the Gators in overtime on the football field, but the Gators are now a basketball school, no question about it. Man, it's good that the SEC has become a basketball league. 5 of the top 10 teams in the country in the SEC in basketball. So, yeah, going to be a big-time conference race this year, basketball. Tennessee, Auburn, Kentucky, Florida, Texas A&M, go down the list, Oklahoma, all sorts of great college basketball in the SEC. In the NFL yesterday...
Hey, can I ask you another basketball question real quick?
Absolutely.
Have you seen that Shaq and Dwight Howard are at it again?
Oh, God. They're such children.
What is
this Superman thing?
What is up with this? They have been going back and forth for over a decade at this point.
Since Dwight was playing for the Magic and Shaq was still in the league playing for whoever he was playing for at the time. This was after he left the Lakers. I think he might have been with the Heat.
Do they just truly not like each other? Is that what it comes down to?
I mostly blame Shaq on this.
Really?
Yeah, he started jabbing at Dwight when Dwight sort of took up the Superman persona, and that was Shaq's persona when he was with the Magic way back when. So yeah, and I don't know why Shaq doesn't like Dwight or for forever.
I wouldn't think it would be Shaq's fault. I thought it would be that Dwight was butthurt. Sorry, it's too easy. You know, Pat, what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I totally get that. I was going to just ignore the comment, but since you put the spotlight on. One thing I did observe, though, in the back and forth on the social media is, especially on the Dwight Howard side, he could use some remedial grammar classes.
Well, and everybody on social media, it seems like these days, could use some grammar because, good Lord, no punctuation, run-on sentences. It drives me crazy. Don't get me going on grammar and social media. Okay.
All right. Moving on to football, Bulldog.
All right. Your Dolphins had a press conference yesterday. The head coach, Mike McDaniel, the GM, Chris Greer, and they said Tyreek Hill has not asked them for a trade. Mike McDaniel addressed, Tyreek Hill were not going back into the game on Sunday, saying he was unavailable to go back in even though he wasn't injured. And Mike McDaniel said that's not going to be tolerated in the future. I'm sorry. This Dolphins organization and Mike McDaniel, it's become a country club down there. It's like Club Mike, Club Med, they should call it, all right? Club Mike, because... you're reading stuff now, Tyreek Hill not showing up for team meetings, showing up late. You can't just reel this back in now, all right? You can't just become a tough guy all of a sudden. They've allowed this to go on. I don't know that they can keep Tyreek Hill on this team. He doesn't have much trade value now because everybody knows he wants out. So I don't know what the Dolphins.
You know what's happened there, Bulldog, is you got a coach in McDaniel who wants to also be the player's friend.
Yes,
right.
And you've got to draw the line there, man. And
you've got to be like the Pittsburgh coach,
right? Yeah. I mean,
I'm going to ask you a question right now, being the Dolphins fan you are, Lynch.
Yeah.
And being that Brian Flores is now a hot commodity for other head coaching jobs. because he's done a great job as a D coordinator of the Minnesota Vikings. Did the Dolphins make a mistake by firing Brian Flores?
Yeah, well, he was
a tough guy. He didn't take any of this stuff.
Right, but there's also, that said, there's this line in trying to deal with this mentality now, and I'm not quite sure how you straddle it. I guess that's my answer.
No,
it's tough.
Was Dan Campbell, wasn't he down with Dolphins?
Dan Campbell was a temporary interim coach,
interim.
and I've been fuming ever since they let him go, because when he just showed the passion that he has now. He showed it in those few games that he was interim coach. I'm like, man, that's the guy right there. Mm-hmm. And sure as hell, he is, just in another city.
Right. Yeah, Dan Campbell. That's right. He was the interim coach, the meathead. Exactly. Yeah. So
just in another city, he's the bomb, right, Pat? Just like Orlando Magic players usually.
That's how it works here. Yeah. Anyway.
Speaking of the NFL, the Raiders fire Antonio Pierce, their head coach, after only one season. I don't know what it is with these organizations hiring these sad organizations hiring coaches and then firing them after 1 year because they don't turn around the organization in 1 year. We saw the Patriots do it with Jared Mayo, fired after 1 year. Now the Raiders have done it with Antonio Pierce, so I don't know what's going on. By the way, Taco, you mentioned the other day how ironic it was that the Patriots and Kraft had hired a coach named Mayo.
Mm-hmm. They found a mustard, didn't they?
Colonel Mustard is the new coach.
Not that. I found a new place where Jared Mayo could become, he could go to work for the Bengals. Their GM is named Duke. Yeah.
All right.
Duke Tobin.
I like it.
There we go.
So there you go.
All right.
I had to search for that.
All mayonnaise all the time here on the Lynch and Taco Show during the sports page with Mike the Bulldog Bianchi, heard on Adjacent to Us weekday mornings on AM 740 and FM 96.9 Game. Give us that big old bulldog bark, would you, dog?
Lynch and Taco on